Yo, what's up? It's your boy Basheer Umar Pemberton. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As I said, it's your brother Basheer Umar Pemberton, and this is my first time doing this in a good minute. Haven't been doing no podcasts, I think, since last season. Matter of fact, the last podcast I did was with Kyle Nash on the student of the game. It was the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl preview show. That was the last time I did a podcast. I've been on Twitter. Um, sharing my thoughts on the Eagles and the NFL season and the Sixers and college football and stuff like that. But I wanted to hop on here, especially to talk about the collapse of this 2023 Eagles team over the last 6 weeks. Over the last 6 weeks, they're 1-5. They haven't played well. 6 weeks ago, heading into that game, they were 10-1, the number one ranked team in the NFL, according to me and a lot of other people, and especially to the fans. And we've seen what happened over the last 6 weeks. Total collapse. Defense has been terrible. The offense has been mid at best. And the Eagles go stumbling into the playoffs, and they play the Buccaneers Monday night in Tampa Bay. And at this moment, how could any Eagles fan or any person that watched football feel good about the Philadelphia Eagles at this moment? Because honestly, I don't. I'm not going to sit here and be like this person with this blind faith. Oh, they'll be fine. I'm not so sure about that because of what they put out there on film over the last 6 weeks. The defensive line can't get to the quarterback. The defensive line can't shed blocks and reset the line of scrimmage versus the run. The linebackers can't play. The linebackers haven't played well, honestly, all year. Nakobe Dean was injured twice. He's done for the year. Morrow stinks, can't play. Cunningham has just been a guy. And then they signed Shaq Leonard, and Shaq Leonard is cooked. He's cooked, can't play. When we look at the safeties are mid this year. I mean, Sidney Brown should have been starting from day one. Reed Blankenship is just a special teams guy. He was exposed last year. The guy can't be a starter in this league. Don't move well enough, not fast enough, not agile enough, can't cover deep in space, get exposed. Kevin Byard, at this point in his career, he okay. Hasn't made any big time plays. We look at James Bradbury. Compared from last year to this year, James Bradbury is cooked. They signed him back and bought him back, and we see that was a mistake. Darius Slay is out injured right now. A lot of people call him no play Slay, and Darius Slay, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be honest, Slay, is he as good as he was last year, but he hasn't been that bad this year. He hasn't been that bad this year. There's a reason why teams was throwing to the middle of the field and to Bradbury instead of targeting him all the time, because he still can play. He still can cover. When we look at the amount of sacks, and I think I said this to start my thought on the defense, if we look at the defensive line, their play from last year compared to this year, Fletcher Cox had a real good year last year. He's having a so-so year this year. Jalen Carter replaced Javon Hargrave. Not the same production that we got out of Hargrave last year. And Jalen Carter is in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he started out like gangbusters and he slowed down. Jordan Davis is what he is. I mean, it's some weeks where you notice he there, and over the last 6 weeks, we haven't noticed Jordan Davis. As big as he is, as fast as he timed and all the other kind of stuff, how often do we say that Jordan Davis impacts the game? For a guy that's 6'6", that's 340 something, 350, whatever he is, with all this strength, with all this athletic ability, how often do we say he impacts the game? Look at the Giants. Dexter Lawrence that made the Pro Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's 2 years in a row. It might be 3. Dexter Lawrence is just as big as he is. Dexter Lawrence impacts the game. When we watch the Giants play, we see Dexter Lawrence impact the game. Jordan Davis, no impact. Brandon Graham had double-digit sacks last year, doesn't have double-digit sacks this year. Josh Sweat had double-digit sacks last year, hasn't played that well this year. He's another one. Games go by, we don't notice Josh Sweat. Hassan Reddick, when we look at the raw numbers, are they as good as they was last year? I think he had 16 regular season sacks. This year he got 12 and a half. Reddick has been fine. He ain't the issue. Everybody else is the issue. Everybody wanted Jonathan Gannon out here. Everybody swore that they was Buddy Ryan and knew about defense and stuff last year. Jonathan Gannon's gone. They replaced him with Sean Desai. That didn't work. They replaced him with Matt Patricia. It still didn't work. One of the advantages that Gannon had last year, he had better players. The Eagles led the league in sacks. The Eagles led the league in third down defense. They led the league in passing yards allowed last year. For all the complaining that everybody did, they didn't like the style of defense. And Seth Joyner, I love you. You was one of my favorite players growing up. I actually think you should be in the Hall of Fame. You one of the best off-ball linebackers that was in that league over a decade. You and Eric Allen belong in the Hall of Fame, without a doubt. Everybody complained about that style, but last year it worked. In the Super Bowl, they wanted to blame Gannon. The players screwed up assignments in that Super Bowl game. That's why the Eagles lost that game. Wasn't the coaching. Everybody swore, oh, they played the same defense. You couldn't tell me connect 4 from cover 4. So tell me what defense, tell me the name of the defense that you thought they played, and then tell me what they actually did. None of y'all know. The players made mistakes in that game. Slay and Maddox got mixed up and was standing there looking at each other in 3 or 4 key moments last year in that Super Bowl. But let's get back to this team. Offensively, they lost Shane Steichen. He's in Indianapolis. They had a decent year in Indy. So now you replace him with Brian Johnson, and the offense has been mid. Over the last 6 games, the Eagles have only averaged 19 points a game over the last 6 games. So the offense down the stretch, along with the defense, has been an issue. It's been an issue. In my opinion, they don't run enough. They don't impose their will physically like they did last year and then play off of that. Last year, they were a physically imposing offense. They would run the ball. They would run the ball. They would run the ball, and then they would use play action. Shots downfield. A.J. Brown down the field. Devontae Smith on deep crossers. Dallas Goedert using his athletic ability. This year, it's different. It's way different. And I'm not one to question coaching a lot, because I also lay blame on players, but there's been a lot of instances this year where the play calling and the scheme has been questionable. The biggest issue with the Eagles offense right now, without a doubt, the biggest issue with this offense right now is their inability to handle pressure. And we're not just talking, 5 players. We talk about 6 or 7. When you go back and look at the film, I don't know if it's not incorporated in the offense, the hots. I don't know if there's a miscommunication with the wide receivers and the quarterback. I don't know if it's just not I don't know what it is. But on a lot of occasions, in which is basic football, this basic stuff that you teach kids at 10, 11, 12 years old on how to handle pressure, especially when you're going against a blitz package. When a guy's hot, when you see that extra guy coming, sometimes it's on the quarterback to handle that guy, but the wide receivers got to make sight adjustments and cut the route short. You can't have 6 or 7 coming and you only got 5 blocking, or 6 blocking, there's an extra man, and nobody is like, there's no plan. There's no adjustment. There's times in which Jalen Hurts is holding the ball. He shouldn't be holding the ball. There's times where the wide receivers are still running these like deep routes and not looking. A lot of times when you look at other teams and they notice the blitz, if the quarterback and the wide receiver not making eye contact prior to the snap, it's already ingrained that wide receiver and quarterback should know what the plan is. Oh, I'm not going to run this deep post. I'm going to run a quick stop route. I'm going to run a quick slant. I'm going to run a quick 5 and in. There has to be a plan. And even last year against pressure, and a lot of guys that know the game talked about it. Dan Orlovsky talked about it. JT O'Sullivan talked about it. A lot of people that know more than I do. Because if I could see it, people that played quarterback and people that played in the league, they understand the Eagles' plan versus pressure. It's not good enough. And like I said, I put it on the coaches and their play design. I put it on the players for not executing. It's a collaboration. Everybody gets some blame. Without a doubt, everybody gets some blame for this. So the question is now, this the NFL playoffs. Everybody 0-0 right now. Are the Eagles going into the playoffs with momentum and swag? No, they're not. Absolutely not. You can argue they might be playing the worst football out of all 14 of the playoff teams heading into the playoffs. Right now, you might rank the Eagles as the 14th, as playing the 14th best. They're playing the worst heading in. But the beauty of the NFL is it's a one-game scenario. It's a one-game scenario. So the Eagles got a chance to rectify the situation, at least for 1 week. Because I tell you one darn thing, it's not going to be happy here in Philly. The fans are not going to be happy if they go out in the wild card round to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a mediocre team. The NFC South, the worst division in football. They stink. The Carolina Panthers flat out suck. The Atlanta Falcons, I mean, they mid, they suck. Honestly, when you look at that division, they might have the worst group of quarterbacks in the division. Baker Mayfield, the best quarterback in that division. It's not good. Baker Mayfield is mid. It's not good. Derek Carr shouldn't start another game in this league. But the issue is it's not enough good quarterbacks in the league. So, guys like him are going to start. Derek Carr shouldn't start another game in this league. Shouldn't be relied on. Your plan should not be Derek Carr coming into a season. Shouldn't be Derek Carr. The Falcons, they drafted Desmond Ridder. In my opinion, we've seen enough of Desmond Ridder to know that he ain't it. Down the road, he might be a Geno Smith situation where he get better by sitting and rectify a situation. Desmond Ridder ain't it. The Falcons got too many skilled players on that team to be that bad. They stink. The Carolina Panthers, and I liked Bryce Young, coming out of college. But I'm from the schools where as though you don't draft an outlier. And yeah, this today's NFL, but in my opinion, CJ Stroud got frowned upon because people like to school scout or jersey scout. Oh, Ohio State quarterbacks don't do this and don't do that. You don't scout the school. You scout each individual player. That's how you evaluate players. You don't say, oh, well, all quarterbacks from Ohio State don't do well in the NFL. Because what happens is CJ Stroud wins Rookie of the Year. He's probably going to get some MVP votes. And they won the division in his rookie year. They was the second worst team in the league last year. The second worst team in the league. And now in one season, they hired the right coach. The GM gets out of Ryan's way and lets him be a man and run his team. They got the right quarterback. They added pieces, and now look at them. First year, they drafted Tank Dell. They drafted C.J. Stroud. They drafted Anderson from Bama. 3 guys that contribute. First year. And Tank Dell got injured. May Allah aid him and heal him. I mean, he got injured. They're in the playoffs because they drafted well. Back to the Eagles. As bad as the Eagles are playing, even Vegas, and I'm not a gambling guy, it's haram. I'm Muslim. We don't gamble. We don't participate in gambling. I don't aid people in gambling. The Eagles still are, the game opened up with them being a 2.5-point favorite on the road. Me from my experience in the past, may Allah forgive me, I know for a stone cold fact that most home teams get a 3-point advantage just from being a home team. So in reality, when you look at the point spread, they believe that the Eagles are like a 5.5-point favorite for real. It's a winnable game. And in the playoffs, you get hot, you get some momentum, the ball bounce your way, you can win. You can get hot and make a run. So even with as bad as the Eagles played over the last 6 weeks, they still got a minuscule chance. They still got a chance. Is it likely that they could win 3 straight games and get back to the Super Bowl and win a 4th game? Is it likely? No. I'll be honest with you, no. But it's sports. We've seen crazy things happen. We've seen the Giants twice win Super Bowls, and they was wild card teams. The Giants went and they was 9-7. They went and made a run, won 4 straight games, won the Super Bowl. Things can happen, man. But it's up to the Eagles to try to rectify the situation this week in practice and, go out there Monday night and go take the game. Honestly, I'm not sure if, the only way that they win this game is a shootout, in my opinion, because their defense can't stop a nosebleed. They can't stop a nosebleed. The Buccaneers are not a great running team. They finished the league last in rushing yards per game, 92.5 yards a game. But what the hell do that matter when the Eagles can't stop nobody? The Cardinals weren't a great rushing team heading into that game, and they gashed the Eagles. The Eagles been getting gashed. In reality, the last 8-9 games of the season, they haven't been able to stop the run. The first half of the season, they was number 1 in the league in rushing yards allowed. They was letting 68 yards a game. Over the last 8 or 9 games, they have been getting killed versus the run. They can't stop the run. They can't get off the field on 3rd downs. Honestly, when we look at them, what do the defense do? What do they do well? They do everything mediocre. Getting to the quarterback, mediocre. Stopping the run, bad. Causing turnovers, below average. So we don't even know what's the identity of the defense. They have no identity. The defense has no identity. Last year, we knew that team could get to the quarterback with the front 4. They didn't need the blitz last year. They had the best pass rush in the league, and they had the best passing defense in the league, and they had the best 3rd down defense in the league last year. That was their identity on defense. This year, there ain't none. So I don't know what the heck they do. I got no clue. I don't know what they do. But inshallah, Monday night we'll see. All right, that's it. I'm done. I said my piece. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless everybody that listen, to this when you get a chance, inshallah. And, I had to get this off my chest. I actually feel good to be back, you know what I mean, with these headphones and the mic and, just sharing my thoughts and my opinions on what I see. You know what I mean? I know I don't do it as often. You know what I mean? I would do it more if this was the way I fed my family. But alhamdulillah, Allah is the greatest of planners. If that's what it's supposed to be coming down the line, Allah gonna make a way. If not, I'ma still go out here, do what I gotta do, make that halal money and take care of my family. And then, you know what I mean, share my thoughts time to time about what's going on. Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, even the Flyers, they having a decent season, college football, some draft prospects and stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? I'm out. Assalamu alaikum. Barakallahu fikum. Jazakumullah khair. This your boy Basheer Umar Pemberton, Muslim Football Scout Podcast. Ahala.